et donne la parole au représentant permanent de l'Algérie.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. I have the honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the members of the A3+, namely Guyana, Sierra Leone, Somalia, and my own country, Algeria. At the outset, the A3+ warmly welcomes the presence of His Excellency Mr. Al-Assad Al-Shaybani, the Syrian Minister of Foreign Affairs. Your participation, Mr. Al-Shaybani, is a clear reflection of the interim authorities' commitment to working with the international community toward achieving an inclusive political transition in Syria, and underscores the importance of inclusive dialogue in shaping Syria's future. We also extend our sincere appreciation to Special Envoy Geert Pedersen and ASG Joyce Mtsuya for their briefings. Madam President, Syria stands at a pivotal moment in its history. Having endured profound hardship, its people now look to the future with hope and cautious optimism. This hope must be nurtured through sustained international support and cooperation. They envision a brighter Syria, built by and for all Syrians, where no one is marginalized, where human rights and dignity are upheld and protected, and where the Syrian people exercise full sovereignty over their territory. The A3+ firmly believes that a successful and inclusive transition must be Syrian-led and Syrian-owned, with the strong backing of the international community. This process must remain aligned with the principles of Security Council Resolution 2254. At this critical juncture, the role of the United Nations remains essential, and we reiterate our support to Mr. Pedersen in his endeavor. Therefore, we reiterate the importance of safeguarding the independence and operational capacity of the United Nations agencies. The A3+ welcomes the recent announcement of a new transitional government by the interim authorities and looks forward to subsequent steps that will help ensure an inclusive political process. We underline that lasting peace requires the engagement of all components of Syrian society. Inclusivity is not desirable. It is essential for sustainable coexistence and national reconciliation. This includes empowering women, youth, and communities. In this regard, we commend the ongoing dialogue between the interim authorities and various Syrian communities. Differences can and must be addressed through dialogue and reconciliation, not through confrontation. Madam President, The A3 Plus calls for the dissolution of all military factions and for their smooth integration into the new Syrian army. This step is critical for national unity and establishing a stable security environment. We also stress the importance of ensuring accountability for all violations of international humanitarian law and international human rights law committed throughout the Syrian conflict. Justice and accountability are vital elements of reconciliation. The pain of the Syrian people runs deep, but we believe in their resilience and their capacity to find a durable solution to their challenges with the full support of the international community, including this Security Council. Madam President, the A3 Plus reiterates its unwavering support for Syria's unity, Syria's sovereignty, Syria's independence, and Syria's territorial integrity. These are not abstract ideals. These are fundamental principles that must be respected by all. In this vein, the A3 Plus remains seriously concerned about Israel's repeated attacks and violations of Syria's sovereignty. The A3 Plus strongly condemns this military operation that violate international law, including the United Nations charters, in particular Article 2, which prohibits the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any states. And we call for full compliance with the 1974 disengagement agreement. Moreover, we urge an immediate end to Israeli incursions into Syrian territories and the complete withdrawal of its forces. The Golan Heights remains Syrian under international law, as reaffirmed by Security Council Resolution 497. Madam President, after enduring one of the darkest chapters in its history, Syria has now embarked on the arduous path of rebuilding. This path requires the unwavering support of the international community. Syria must not become a theater of geopolitical competition or a haven for terrorism. Regional and international actors must refrain from actions that could undermine Syria's stability. Cooperative rather than competitive international engagement is essential for Syria's recovery. At the same time, conditions must be created to prevent the resurgence of terrorism, which threaten both Syrians and broader international peace and security. Madam President, the humanitarian situation in Syria remains dire. The rising needs coupled with unilateral sanctions, have worsened the plight of civilians, even as more than 1.5 million displaced persons have returned home since November last year. These circumstances do not create a conducive environment for the safe, voluntary, and dignified return of refugees and internally displaced persons. The A3 Plus calls upon donors to honor their financial pledges to humanitarian operations in Syria. We must help Syrians rebuild their lives and communities. These include investing in infrastructure, in education, and in health care to lay the foundation for long-term stability and prosperity. In this context, we welcome the engagement between the interim authorities and international financial institutions. Access to funding is critical, but its impact will remain limited as long as unilateral sanctions persist. Therefore, the A3 Plus calls for the lifting of unilateral sanctions, whose original justification no longer hold. Madam President, to conclude, the people of Syria deserve our steadfast support through concrete action, not just words. Unity and solidarity will be key in overcoming these challenges. Lasting stability and prosperity will require a comprehensive approach, one that promotes security, economic recovery, and inclusive governance. All efforts that risk derailing the transitional process in Syria must be avoided. Now, more than ever, the Security Council and the international community must stand united in support of Syria and its people. I thank you.
Je remercie le représentant permanent de l'Algérie de sa déclaration au nom du A3+.